Yeah, black sun in the hizzle, oh, a shizzle dizzle. We got an excellent show here today. Why do I feel so jubilee today with such a title? Why do I feel so? Hold on, y'all. I was in a good mood. Now I got to come down this damn hill and watch this mofo pull out like a damn maniac. I'm sick of these motherfucking truckers pulling out like this. I'm sorry, y'all. Oh, he's gonna stay put. Good. Stay put. Stay put, stay put, stay put. I guess because you see that other car coming. Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, y'all. I'm sorry. Starting the show off in a Jubilee, and I had to get defensive because, these trucks, there's no stop sign. Anywho, how are y'all doing today? Y'all see the title. I hope my mic is good. I hope my mic is good. Y'all see the title. Why the hate for Russia? And I'm asking you that question because I know where the hatred originates. I know where it comes from. I know the origins. I know the origins. Because a lot of y'all don't have the gray hair that I have, it might sound a little weird to y'all if y'all don't read the books that I read. And then I have relatives over in Poland, and I have more relatives over in Russia. And so let me explain something to y'all, Americans that just want to roll with this narrative of hate. Because I see y'all hate on Putin, okay. And then I hear y'all hate on Sergei Lavrov. I can understand y'all saying, oh, Putin is a murderer, even though y'all can't tell me who he murdered. Somebody say, oh, his political opponent, okay, get that. But Sergei Lavrov has not murdered anybody. The Russian people have not. The Russian people have not murdered anybody. So let's get to it. Let's get to the history. Let's get right to it. And then I hope people will come in and ask questions. The hatred started in world right after World War II. The hatred started right after World War II. You have World War II that started, and then World War II that happened, and then World War II that ended. When the war ended, you had the Nuremberg trials. And in the Nuremberg trials, you had predominantly Russian judges, presiding over the Nuremberg trials. You might have had maybe two or three American at most, European or American judges at most. And let me tell y'all this, I think they were American for the most part because France and England were rebuilding, so they, were in no position. And they were in a position, but they really weren't in no position. We had three American judges there. Now, to understand why I use the term ice, now it's going to make sense to y'all because y'all heard me say ice gods, the ice gods, and y'all were like, "What the hell is Black Sun talking about?" When I say ice gods, meaning the ice, they're cold, meaning the Russians read the Bible, the Orthodox Russians were Orthodox Christians, and we read the Bible. Now, us being Americans, being that we went through the Civil War, that war took such a toll on us that we started to take the Lincoln approach to our former enemies, that being of the South, saying, no, no, Jefferson Davis, we're not going to hang him. We're not going to hang Julian Lee. We're going to forgive them. This was Lincoln's approach to the South, to forgive and to forget. This is because we were enlightened out of that passage, forgive and forget. War. But after the Civil War, we fought so hard, we saw so much death. We, our approach and that passage of forgiveness applied to us. Like that manifested in American culture after the Civil War. And this is the whole enlightenment. That's where the whole man slavery is wrong, and we need to have civil rights for all, and we need to be forgiving because Jesus forgave, right? We choose to pick that out of the Bible. Now, Russia had went through a civil war too, the Bolshevik and I want to say uh, the Bolsheviks and the White Army, or I can't remember the other side, but I say that to say this: Russia has a vengeance that they have in the Bible, because vengeance is in the Bible also, but we choose to ignore vengeance because of the Civil War. We want to pick out. The Bible has things you pick out and choose. Let's see, blockade of Charleston, South Carolina won the Civil War. Relax and talk sports. So I'm assuming that you're a Christian. Press one. And I'm going to show to you that all your Christian values came after the Civil War. And Lincoln was the first to adapt it on a wide stage, and we just began to, it began to manifest with our society. Point being that a lot of Americans wanted to hang General Lee, Jefferson Davis, McClellan, all these Southern generals and former presidents, vice presidents, every figure, all the way from the generals on down. They wanted to hang the South for treason. Would you not agree with that, based on what you've read about the Civil War? Based on the many books of Civil War that you've read, that you have not said that, yeah, they pressured Lincoln into wanting to hang the South, but because there was a new paradigm shift. Relax Talk Sports says, I believe in the Most High God and Jesus. I don't believe most Christian beliefs. I agree. Okay, so the point I'm making to you, sir, is that forgiveness, but wait, you say Most High, are you Hebrew Israelite? The Hebrew Israelites don't believe in forgiveness. They believe in vengeance also. So the Hebrew Israelites and the Orthodox Russians actually believe in the same thing, which is vengeance. So that would fall under the ice gods that are in the Bible. The Bible backs up the ice gods. Y'all just know how to, you gotta have to know how to peep it. Come on, doggy, we ain't got all day. Come on, man. Come on, dog. No, I ain't got no food for you, dog. But you're gonna have to move out the way. I don't want to run you over. Because I don't run over damn dogs. I don't do that. Okay. Sorry. Now you want to walk fast, doggy. Come on now. You want to walk in front of me? Never mind. You know what? I'm good. Dog is just being cautious. Anywho, the whole forgiveness thing comes after the Civil War. There was no forgiveness. We served the ice god. America served the ice gods before the Civil War. But after the Civil War, because, America believed in slavery, whooping slaves, that was the God of vengeance, obey your master, all that. And that's a whole different God from the God of Jesus that you follow, which brought about forgiveness. Because we as humans, we tend to pick out what suits us in our culture. And that's what Russia has done. Russia does not take the forgiveness approach. Their civil war was a little different. Ours, we didn't kill our enemies, we let them be. We let live and let live. That's how we did with most of our enemies that were in the South. So that culture permeated and it began to follow. Lincoln was the most forgiving man when it came to, like I said, Jefferson Davis, Jerry Lee, the whole Southern Confederate uh, Army, the whole Confederate government, and all that. So, do I go that way or that way? Damn, I gotta go this way because this dumbass is blocking and he's backing up. You dumbass. Fuck. Mess up my whole day with this dumb shit. It's always one person that can mess up your whole fucking day. Okay, I'm sorry, y'all. Oh, and then we got this guy right here. Damn, he's gonna make a left turn. I gotta make a left turn. Well, he's got to make a right turn. I got to make a left turn. And hopefully, yeah, go, go, go. Go, go, gadget. Go, go. Everybody go. Everybody go. Everybody go. Everybody go. There we go. There we go. Smooth, 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 smooth. Okay. So, Hebrew Israelites are a bit extreme. Yes, they are, because you know why they're extreme? Because they don't forgive. Hebrew Israelites are considered extreme because they don't forgive. They believe in vengeance. They believe in slavery. They the Hebrew Israelites believe in everything pre-Civil War. So everything that the Europeans applied to the African Americans, they want to reapply back to the Europeans. So I wouldn't. It's a revenge. It's revenge. It's vengeance. That's actually in the Bible. Some might say everything in the Bible is extreme, but that's a whole nother video. I'm not going to go there right now. Not in this video because I'm talking about the Nuremberg trials. Actually, it does apply. Relaxing Oxford. It applies to the Nuremberg trials because you have predominantly Russian judiciaries. You only have maybe 3 American judiciaries. And when you have Russians that are non-forgiving, that you may consider extreme, they believe goddamn eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth. Our judiciaries are born under post-Civil War, meaning they forgive. They believe in Jesus. And being that we're Americans, we try to oppose this forgiveness culture that's in the Bible to other countries who choose to pick other things, the vengefulness that's also in the Bible. Do you follow me so far? Do you follow me so far, Relax and Talk Sports? Because I don't want to go too fast. I want to make sure you absorb all this and not only understand where I'm coming from, but if you have any disagreements, let me know. But based on what I have read about the Nuremberg trials, the Russian judiciaries were ruthless. And because of this, because of their approach to hanging all the Nazis, like we harbored the Nazis. We like, hold up. Well, we can use some of this talents, and that's why all the science Nazis came over to us. The Russians wanted no part of that. They wanted the denazification, period. They wanted to eliminate all the Nazis. We didn't. We wanted to harbor some of their best talents. We wanted to harbor the Nazis because we knew deep down inside we were responsible for the Nazis' behavior. Margaret Sanger, you know, the Margaret Sanger, who believed that comes from America, who believes in a superior race. Yeah, Margaret Sanger, we were responsible for that because Margaret Sanger is American. And she is the one that pushed this doctrine. The Ku Klux Klan also pushed the doctrine of superior race. With our slavery, with our plantations pre-Civil War, we said that God is white. This is what America believed once, that God is white. And so they were ordained to have slaves. This was the belief. Again, they choose to take that out of the Bible. Slavery is condoned in the Bible. Yes, it is. It is what it is. Slaves obey your master. Now, you might say, oh, that's different interpretations. The slave owners at that time believed that. Now, we can do revisionist history and rewrite history and say, oh, well, no, it didn't mean that, it meant this, and they didn't know better. Okay, I hear that argument, but what I'm saying is that the slave owners, the plantation owners at that time believed that they were superior to the Negro slaves and that they were ordained by God, that God has ordained slavery, and it's there in the Bible. Now, because of the Civil War, the Great Tribulation, some of the plantation owners look like, oh, wait a minute, this slavery thing is wrong. Like, the Civil War changed a lot of minds. And because we went through so much brutality, so much life loss in the U.S., a different attitude came about. And a lot of us, when we went to the passage, when I say us, Americans, went to forgiveness. We must forgive. We must, forgive our trespasses. We were forgiving. We were forgiving because of what the Civil War brought about that. If there was no Civil War, there'd be no forgiveness. So the Civil War was God's way of saying, man, forgive your fellow man. Vengeance is mine, says the Lord, and whatnot. And so the Russians didn't choose to take that out of the Bible. Again, the Russians have the same Bible. The Bible is the same all around the world, but your culture might choose to grab this and exclude that. Grab this and exclude that. Would you agree to that? Relax and Talk Sports? What's up, Pico? Hey, man, Pico, what's going on, man? What's going on, man? Shout out to Black Metal Production, man. Shout out to all my metal heads over in Europe. So, um, the Nuremberg trials. So the Russians, they did not want any forgiveness on the Nazis. They wanted to see them hung, and most of them found guilty. The ones that were acquitted just happened to be the three judiciaries by the Americans. But we're like, man, we got to figure, no, we can't just do vengeance. Vengeance is the Lord's, right? So, this is why Americans have this demonization because of the non-forgiveness that the Russian judiciaries had on the Nazis. We were like, you know what? I mean, Hitler's dead and Himmler's dead and all these people. And we shouldn't hold all these people accountable because, they were just taking orders. The Russians are like, no, hang them all, hang them all, hang them all, hang them all. And so we, as Americans, developed this standoffish because before you hate a person, before you demonize a person, there must be a standoff. Like, wait, I don't agree with that. That's how it all starts. Human behavior 101. There is a disagreement and a standoff. Like the way those dang Russians did those Nazis was just inhumane. Even though, from the Russians' point of view, it was justified because what the Nazis did was inhumane. And so when they marched upon it, they said, man, we're going to do away with these Nazis. They are a threat to our existence. So Europe and the Nazis and the Russians have always had this neighborly relationship or the non-relationship, whatever you want to call it, this distrust relationship. They've had to be amongst each other. We, just like way back in the Nuremberg trials after World War II, we have always had this beautiful ocean, these two beautiful oceans called the Atlantic and the Pacific. So we as Americans, we are what I would say, we are different in our approach when it comes to the way, and this relates to Trump too with the whole Zelensky situation. But I'm going to come to that. I'm going to come to that. Let me take baby steps here. Let me take baby steps because again, I have to explain where the demonization of Russia comes from. I have to explain what's going on, U.S. Army. So, hey, Mr. Black Sun, Blackson Port says yes, facts. Yeah. Our approach to the Nuremberg trial was totally different than what the Russians' approach to the Nuremberg trial was, okay? And because we wanted to forgive, I'm just going to keep it real. The Nazis we brought here is because we forgave them. Can I prove what I'm saying? Let me prove what I'm saying. Just last year, 2024, there was an SS Waffen Nazi in Canada. And Zelensky and Zelensky's wife was looking sideways, but Zelensky was like, yeah. And Trudeau was like, yeah. And we were like, oh, okay. Oh, there's a Waffen SS Nazi over in Canada. And they're out. Oh, okay, cool. Putin was like, no, we need to get that motherfucker. And Russia, like, we need to be vengeance. We need to get that motherfucker. Putin is like, man, if we catch that motherfucker, we gonna hang him too. Every Nazi that was hunted down was not hunted down by Americans. Every Nazi was hunted down by Russians. Does anybody in the chat disagree with me? Look it up, do your research. Every Nazi that was hunted down in modern times that were found in Argentina, Chile, wherever country they fled to was found by the Russians, was found by the KGB. We as Americans, we didn't track them down. We didn't do that. We were like, oh, you're a scientist? Oh, okay. And you're good at experiments? Okay. When can you start working for us? That was our attitudes towards the Nazis. That was our attitudes towards the Nazis. The Russians wanted to exterminate them. We wanted to forgive. Okay, let bygones be gone, because that came from the Civil War. Forgive and forget, because we serve the God of Jesus, and Jesus serves the God of forgiveness. The Russians serve vengeance, the ice gods, the cold ice gods. Now, I'm not trying to be provocative when I say that. It is what it is. Look at the behavior of the Russians. And this is why we standoffish and don't even know why we standoffish with the Russians. We're standoffish with the Russians, and we as Americans, I'm gonna tell y'all, because again, I don't have a dog in the fight. I call truth out the way I call truth out. We have such a forgiveness. We're like, oh, also Nazis over in Ukraine. Oh, no big deal. Oh, cracking Nazis too. Oh, no big deal. We no big deal. Nazis, no big deal. We beat Hitler, so I mean, we can have neo-Nazis walking around. Russia's like, no neo-Nazis, no goddamn Banderas Nazis. No, we want denazification. We want to kill all of the Nazis, and we're saying no, it's no big deal. We killed Hitler. Well, we didn't kill Hitler. Let me be that. Let me be specific. America did not kill Hitler. The Russians killed Hitler. Or somebody say, oh, Hitler committed suicide. The Russians caused Hitler to commit suicide, because the Russians are the one that marched on Berlin. So we only fought on D-Day, on Normandy. We fought on the back end. And not saying that our back end battles weren't contributions, which they were, because Hitler had to send all his forces to Berlin. All his, not only did he send all his forces to Berlin, but because Hitler sent all his forces to goddamn Moscow too, and it drained, and so that allowed us to come from the back end, Normandy, and goddamn stomp on D-Day on that side and liberate France and the rest of Europe, because Hitler had so many resources into trying to take on Moscow, which the ice gods did not allow, and then and then had to defend Berlin, because once he fell Moscow, Stalin was like, we gonna march on Berlin. And so Hitler had to take all his resources and protect Berlin. And this is when the Russians were like, no, we are marching on Berlin. I say that to say this. Let's fast forward to the Nuremberg trials. So the Nuremberg trials, we wanted to add we do believe in the death penalty and justice, but we will find a way. If there's a way to forgive you, we'll find that way. The Russians were having no mercy, no mercy, and therefore we as Americans, we looked at we were standoffish. Just like, man, have some humanity, have some mercy, because the God of Jesus, the God of forgiveness, which is the God of Jesus, says to forgive, let vengeance be the Lord, and to forgive, and whoever without first sin cast the first stone. That's what Americans, especially after the Civil War, that is our new culture. That is what we live by. The Russians don't live by that. I hope I make myself clear. Let me read some of these comments, and I'm gonna continue on. But let me read some of these comments. Hi everyone, MAGA Ultra Patriot. What's going on, Tim, man? U.S. Army, because we have two oceans protecting us, we have a different outlook for war. We do. And U.S. Army, being that you're in the U.S. Army, you know that defense plays a very important part in combat, and the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean plays a part of defense, where all the damn Nazis, the Russians, and Europeans are all on top of each other. So it's different for them. So they have a different mentality. And we get offended because when Zelensky says, oh, you will feel it, you're like, man, we ain't gonna feel shit, because we got the oceanic gods to protect the United States of America. We got the god of Pacifica and the god of Atlantic or Pacific Ocean. Those gods of the ocean protect us. What god of the aqua god, the Triton gods? We got Triton gods protecting United States of America. So we have a natural defense called the ocean and the very vast ocean. That's why they call this the New World. Because beyond that ocean, Europeans think they're gonna still fall off the edge and shit. That it just is like endless. I say that to say this, yo. I say that to say this. Shout out to the flat earthers. Shout out to the people that believe in the earth being a spirit. Shout out to both of y'all, because a lot of Europeans are flat earthers subconsciously. The Russians are flat earthers, the Nazis are flat earthers, and the Europeans are flat earthers. And that's why a lot of y'all ancestors didn't want to travel to where the New World is. We are the New World. So we were like, is a new world? No, the earth is round. The earth is round. It's got to be round. And everybody that Americo Vespucci, or whatever his name is, if I'm butchering his name, I'm sorry. But Americo Vespucci, whatever his name is, Americos, who America is named after, said that the earth is round. And there were people who had that same mentality. Yeah, the earth can't be flat. The earth is round. So he proved it, and here we have the New World, okay? Because remember, a lot of people in Europe, a lot of people in Germany, a lot of people in Russia believe that the earth was flat and believe if you sailed so far that you would just fall off the edge, okay? I say that to say this. Because of our approach and our belief that either earth is flat or round, we came with that same mentality and approach when it comes to the Bible. Not saying that people are right or people are wrong. No, people can choose what they choose to believe and choose not to believe. If they don't believe in vengeances of the Lord, or they believe that God is going to use our Russian soldiers to take vengeance, then so be it. I'm not here to give a lecture on religion. I am here to just show the cultural differences, meaning that you have Russian Christians that see a different outlook than American Christians, because our Christianity is rooted in the Civil War that brought about a new paradigm. I hope I make myself clear on that. Again, there's so many lessons in the Civil War that I cannot purvey in an hour YouTube video. I wish I could, but I can't, because there's a lot of lessons into the Civil War. But like I said, the biggest lessons was linking, forgiving. The paradigm shift happened when they were expecting Lincoln to hang all of his enemies, and he said, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to bring this country together, and we're going to have forgiveness. And a lot of those soldiers that lived on prospered. General Lee, a lot of those generals became, now, a lot of these insurance companies are descendants from the original Confederate generals, and I would hate to say this, but a lot of Confederate generals did better than a lot of Union generals as far as business, as far as adapting and starting a whole new life beyond the military. But that's a whole nother video. That's a whole nother video. We're talking why this hatred towards Russians. Because, like I said, the hatred extends beyond Putin. I understand, people say, oh, Putin's a gangster. I get it. All our leaders have to be gangster. And I'm glad that now Trump is initiated into gangsterism. When he got shot in the ear, when they tried to goddamn false claim him, they forced him into gangsterism. Just like a lot of Americans. Shout out to my African Americans, shout out to my white Americans. A lot of y'all have been accused of crimes y'all didn't do, and were forced into the gangster culture, criminal culture. That's a whole nother video too. I'm gonna save that for a whole nother video, but I'm not here to harp on injustices or justice. What I'm saying is that God has chosen Trump to deal with these gangsters. Gangster Putin, gangster Xi Jinping, gangster Benjamin Netanyahu. Some of our allies are gangster too, like King Salmani of Saudi Arabia, who cuts the heads off people's. Yeah, he's the ultimate gangster. Of course, Zelensky is a gangster. He's one of the most corrupt dictators. I'm gonna say this, and I don't give a damn if it causes controversy or not. Vladimir Volodymyr Zelensky is more of a corrupt dictator than Vladimir Putin. There, I said it. Only because I look at the way you treat American prisoners. Again, Brittany Grinder versus the guy, I keep forgetting his name, from Burbank, California, who was killed in a Ukrainian prison. Beaten, extorted, beaten, and then killed. As opposed to Brittany Grinder, who was released and was fine. So that's how I judge the situation. You guys might judge the situation on something different. I judge it based on how you treat people who you locked up, because both Ukraine and Russia have locked up American citizens. And based on my immediate observation, Brittany Grinder has made it back to America. But I'm not going to dwell on that. I'm not going to dwell on that. Putin is now. People might ask me, "Oh, is Putin an evil person?" I am not a Russian citizen. Okay, that is for the Russian people to decide. Okay, now people can say, "Well, Black Son, you can make the same argument about Zelensky," and this is true. But Zelensky has murdered somebody from a place where I'm from. I lived in Burbank, California. So I looked at this in a different way than y'all might look at this, okay? Again, Brittany Grinder was locked up in a Russian prison, and she made it back quite fine. So again, that's how I judge the situation. Brittany Grinder moved it back, so therefore that makes Putin just a little bit better than Zelensky. But I'm not here to take sides. I'm not here to take sides. I'm here to bring facts on why we have such a hatred as a whole for Putin. Where this hatred comes from. Again, it comes from the Nuremberg trials. Putin's not responsible for it. Sergei Lavrov is not responsible for it. It all comes from the Nuremberg trials and how we didn't want we wanted mercy. As human beings, we wanted to see mercy on other human beings. Even though they were Nazis, we were like, they're still human beings. And the Russians like, no, hang them. Kill them at once. And we were like, damn, this is just unmerciful. This is harsh. And they were like, no. In fact, we didn't like the way that the Nuremberg trial railroaded the Russians. The Nazis. A lot of them were railroaded. And we looked at that as Americans as an injustice. And this is where the standoffish comes. We're like, damn, they were did dirty. You know, two wrongs don't make a right. This is what we believe as Americans. We believe that two wrongs don't make a right, that we have to be the better people. And the Russians like, man, fuck that. Hang those goddamn Nazis. Hang them. Hang them until they're dead. And so that resentment has grown through the years. And because of the Nuremberg trials, now the Cold War stemmed from that resentment. This all comes from the Nuremberg trials. It all stems from that, people. And so we look at everything that the Russians do as evil and cold. They're cold. They're evil people. They're just, and this is where that comes from. This is where that comes from. It all stems from that. And Putin is taking the blunt of that. But again, it's not only Putin. Sergei Lavrov, who has not done no harm to nobody, now they're demonizing Sergei Lavrov, and they're demonizing Russia as a whole. Now, y'all know I've talked about Russia, the situation with Ukraine, and how the Republic of Donetsk, Luhansk, and Crimea did a referendum and separated, but because we have such a hatred for Russia, we have made up shit like, oh, they had a referendum at gunpoint. I'm just like, man, y'all people need to stop. And these are all Americans that told me this. Americans who don't live in Russia. Let me say that again. Americans who don't live in Russia want to tell me, who family I have in Poland and Russia, want to tell me that, oh, the referendums were held at gunpoint. When there's videos showing the actual referendum, there's videos, there's documentation of the videos of um, them having elections, and nobody was held at gunpoint. That is some bullshit that we made up. How do we not? How do I know we make it up? Because we made up shit about Trump, our president. And then y'all wonder why, Trump is siding with Putin. No, Trump is siding with the truth. And then, mind you, Trump says something so significant. He said, man, Putin was part of this Russia bullshit. Now, press the one in the chat if y'all remember the news media accusing of Trump rigging the elections against Hillary Clinton, being Russia. You know, they were accusing Trump of being part of some Russia collusion. Well, guess who was at the other end of that disinformation and that untruth? Putin. So that means Trump understood, damn, if they're lying on me, obviously they're lying on Putin. Putin had nothing to do with no damn elections. No, Trump won against Hillary Clinton, but then Putin was like, what I got to do with this? So he's part of a lie. And so Trump is a little reluctant when you use the Russia lie on him. Putin was part of that too. He's like, damn. Putin's like, man, you lied on me too. I wasn't part of that. I ain't got nothing to do with that. So forgive Trump if he was a little bullshit. See, everybody, Joker, Tim, everybody remembers the Russia bullshit. And so Trump is like, well, damn, if you lied on me, what else did you lie about? Well, again, I'm glad you guys are subscribed to this channel, because when I explained the referendum, I explained that the Republic of Luhansk and Donetsk did the same thing that America did. Let me ask y'all another question. Press a 2 in the chat if you guys are aware that when we separated, nobody recognized us except for France, except for King Louis XVI. Who knows that we signed a referendum to separate from England? Press a 2 in the chat if you are aware that we signed because England was a major power. They refused, and England's allies refused, and France was not England's ally at the time. England and everybody else refused to acknowledge our separation. Press a 2 in the chat if you know this. And this is why this is so significant, because if you disrespect, if you fail to recognize the Republic of Luhansk, Donetsk, and Crimea, then you and their referendum, then you refuse our existence of America, because we went through the same thing. When we separated from England, we did a referendum. We did a referendum. And France, King Louis XVI, recognized it and said, you know what, we'll help you. We will help you. Because in order for our separation, we had to petition somebody for help, and we petitioned France for help. King Louis XVI said, we'll help you. Who recognizes that? So Army, of course, recognizes that. Joker, of course, 3% hoorah, recognizes that, of course. Ultra MAGA Tim, of course, man, because these are patriots. And they understand not only did we separate from England and sign the referendum, but George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, and Ben Franklin became convicted felons when they did that. Who understands that Trump is not the first convicted president? We've been through this already, but I just want to get a 3 for just some. We just doing some rehashing of some old lessons here. Who recognized that Trump is not the first convicted president? That he would be considered the John Adams, Thomas Jefferson. He would be the 4th convicted president. George Washington being the 1st, John Adams being the 2nd, Thomas Jefferson. No, when did we make police? No, they were still convicted though. If they would have been caught during that time, they would have been hung. So yeah, they count because they would have been hung if they were count. Can we get a rehash? Can we get a 3 in the chat? I want to make sure I don't lose y'all because I'm going to make sure y'all get everything crystal clear what I'm saying and why this referendum, this separation was important. Because countries that separate, they petition other countries for help, for assistance. Countries just don't come in. Putin knows better not to just violate and just come into a sovereign territory. The territory he came into was the territories that signed away, according to the Constitution, to separate from the Azovs, and the Kraken, the Nazis of their country. So U.S. Army says France also supported us with ships and supplies during the revolution. This is a fact. King Louis went broke doing it, but that's a whole other story. We're not going to discuss King Louis. Y'all know the story of King Louis answers. We're not going to discuss the French Revolution because of their economy that happened and destabilized. But yeah, King Louis did everything in his power to help us. Literally everything. Oh gosh, but that's all. U.S. Army, that's a whole other story. But you are facts, 100% facts on that. Yeah, King Louis supplied us with everything, with guns, muskets, gunpowder, blankets, troops, medics, they supplied us with a lot of stuff. And in return, we promised them resources. And this is where the whole resource, what Zelensky doesn't understand. Well, Zelensky he's an actor. He's an actor, so he's not going to understand history. He doesn't have to. He's an actor. Actors don't have to understand history. They just have to act. So what I'm saying is that America, if you understand the core of our referendum of us separating from England, if you understand that we had to petition King Louis for help, and when he came in, we don't consider that an invasion. So France did not invade us. France came based on our petition. Who understands that in the chat? Press 1 if you understand that. Yeah, I think y'all understand that. Yeah, they didn't invade us. France didn't invade us because we asked France to come help us. But at the time, England looked at it as an invasion. Wait a minute, Black Son. This sounds familiar, doesn't it? When we petitioned Louis XVI for help to come help us, the colonies, because we petitioned to separate from England, England looked at it as you're invading our territories. King George told King Louis, you are invading our territory. And if any French troops are caught, they're going to be caught and hung and blah, blah, blah. Do y'all see the parallel? Do y'all see the parallel? See, this is why reading is so fundamental. Do y'all see the parallel? Press 4 in the chat if you see the parallel between the Republic of Luhansk and Donetsk and the United States of America. Do y'all see the parallel? And this is why today England does not recognize, they don't want to recognize, that is their mentality. That has always been their mentality. They don't want to recognize goddamn, because that's a black eye to them. They don't ever want to recognize us signing a petition to separate themselves. Guess who inspired Luhan's Donetsk? Guess who inspired goddamn the Constitution that comes from us? Not only did they recognize it, Putin recognized it. Y'all remember Putin was schooled in the West. Not only was Putin schooled in the West, so was goddamn Kim Jong-un and Kim Jong-il. They were all schooled in the West. So they were all schooled in the West. So where I'm getting at is that this demonization doesn't come from Putin and this and that, because if we were to judge everything Putin has done, we would definitely damn point two fingers. You know, they say when you point a finger, point three back. We would definitely be pointing three fingers back, not only at Zelensky, but our own governments, but, you know, Biden trying to persecute Trump. That is the most highest form of goddamn evil ever. You try to assassinate your political opponent, but you failed because you're so cheap you couldn't hire a real assassin. You know what? Let me not even talk about that. I'm not going to even talk about goddamn Crooks, who was, you know, who he had autism. That poor boy had autism, so he became a victim. Not only well, you know what? I'm not going to. You get what you pay for. I'm gonna just leave it at that. You get what you pay for, Biden, Kamala Harris, and that's why you failed. That's why you failed. Hiring a autistic hitman, but you get what you pay for. I'm gonna talk about that in another video. I'm not gonna talk about it because we're talking about the hatred, the natural hatred for Putin, and that again, that comes from the Nuremberg trial, and that's just a cultural thing. We didn't like the way that the Russian judiciary treated the Nazis. We didn't like that. We didn't like the Nuremberg trial, how they were all. Now we look at it. I'm gonna just keep it real. We looked at it as them being railroaded. Now, were the Nazis railroaded? You would have to read the Nuremberg trials, and from what I've read, a person can make an argument if they were railroaded or not. And this is, and then again, from the perspective of the American judiciaries, they were railroaded. The Nazis were railroaded because we wanted to see fair justice. And because of that, that's where the demonization comes from. All the demonization from Russia comes from that, period. There's no other reason why we demonize Russians. We demonize Russians because we want to impose our forgiveness, because we can't impose our way of life and our way of forgiveness on other countries. We just can't do that. Other countries did not experience the Civil War. Everybody lineage here in America that experienced the Civil War, we share the same concept of Christianity. Even me, I don't practice Christianity, but I understand Christianity. I respect Christianity in the sense where I know where Americans are coming from, and I know where Russians are coming from, because I'm able to step outside of the culture and realize that, yeah, we as Americans, we look at forgiveness. This is a good thing. You know, we look at this and we try to impose it, and everybody doesn't want our Christianity. And this is why the whole theocratic movement of the right is hard to convey things in a way universally to understand that Christianity is different, because Christianity is a conglomerate of different cultures, and those cultures take out sections that they want out of the Bible. They may not necessarily want what you want out of the Bible. Now, we as Americans, because of the Civil War, we had a consensus because Lincoln, even at the time, you had Americans saying, man, why don't you hang goddamn Jefferson Davis, hang General Lee, hang the whole Confederacy, man. And Lincoln was like, no, man, they're Americans. They just had a different perspective. And even in that, people still don't get the lessons as Americans because we're still divided today amongst left and right. And I would say this, and this is why Trump was so successful. When I say successful, if you're able to take somebody like Tulsi Gabbard and RFK and have them in your party, that's success. John Fetterman, that's success. But y'all got to remember, Trump used to be a Democrat. Trump used to be a Democrat, so he knows the formula. He knows the formula. He knows the formula. He knows how to talk to Tulsi Gabbard. He knew how to talk to RFK. On that phone call, he was talking that goddamn vaccine talk. He was like, Kennedy, the vaccines that they give the babies, it's just too much. They should be giving babies the dosage of for a horse. He was talking Kennedy's language because he knows how the Democrats think on that end. Trump is still in tune with when he was a Democrat. He knows how to talk that talk. Democrats have not figured that out yet. Okay? Democrats, Lindy Lee is struggling. She's trying to learn it. She's trying to get acclimated, but unfortunately, a lot of Republicans are not allowing Lindy Lee to convert over to a Republican. I get it, the distrust, but they got to let that go, man. But again, that comes from the forgiveness. See, that's that old world of thinking. By some of these Republicans jumping on Lindy Lee, not trusting her, and some can say a little racism that comes with that. That's a whole nother video. I'm not going to talk about racism and racism against Chinese people. I'm not going to talk about it against Asian people. I'm not going to bring that up. All I'm saying is Lindy Lee has did a lot to bring up red flags for her, so I can see their argument too, because she went hard for Kamala Harris, knowing that Kamala Harris was no good. But we'll say that for a whole nother video, won't we, Kelly? Won't we? Shout out to Kelly, who's in the chat. So let me, greetings, Kelly. Greetings, how are you doing? How's Mo? How's your son? Hello, good to see Tim. Yep, Tim's in his house. Do something different in the house? Oh, man. So, and then we got, thanks for the likes, y'all. U.S. Army says Russians and European experience the atrocities of Nazis, Americans did not. That is a fact. That is a fact, U.S. Army. And so the Europeans, and, see, that's another paradigm you just added. Because the Russians didn't forget them atrocities. The Russians didn't forget those atrocities, and the Russians somehow, the Europeans, the English and the French, I guess we rubbed off on them because they're willing to forgive the Nazis, the current Nazis in Ukraine. They just, yeah, they're Nazis. The Russians are like, no, we killed those. We want to denazify. When the Russians say they want to denazify, meaning they want to eradicate the rest of the Nazis that are still living. They want all the Nazis to be wiped out without a single trace. And this is why Putin was like, that motherfucker in Canada, we want him. And we like, oh, that's no big deal. Oh, Waffen SS soldier in Canada, and Trudeau, they're honoring him, and so is Zelensky. Well, Zelensky's wife was looking sideways. Oh, it's okay. It's okay. They're just Nazis. It's okay. It's okay. They're just Nazis. It's okay. And because we're saying it's okay, we expect the Russians to say it's okay, and the Russians saying no, death to them, kill them. That's where the hatred lies. This is where the disagreement lies. This is why we have such a disdain for Russians, because of their hatred and unforgiveness towards the Nazis. And this is why we don't make a big deal about the Azovs. But the Azov And now they formed a whole nother. Uh, I learned this year about the Kraken. So you got the Azov Battalion, and you got the Kraken, and that is the core of their political beliefs in Ukraine. They are the reason why Zelensky refused the first time and act the fool. Now we're part of that too because Alex Jones, I forgot the other guy's name, talked about the Morgan Act, where Congress is not supposed to interfere with foreign affairs. The Logan Act. So, and in the Logan Act, yeah, they're not supposed to put a battery in Zelensky's back. They're not supposed to do that. So, Logan charges, Alex Jones is right, can be, and yeah, Logan charges can be brought up against those people that put the battery in Zelensky's back. But I don't think it was, they're partially the blame because the Azovs and the Krakens, who are current Nazis, not neo-Nazis. When I say real Nazis, when I say neo-Nazis, I'm talking about people who are not the blood lineage, but they adopt, the swastikas and the iron crosses and all that, and they're neo-Nazis. If you're in England or Australia or American, I consider you a neo-Nazi. The people in Ukraine are actual blood descendants of Nazis and believe in the cause of their grandfathers who fought on the side of the Third Reich. Those are not neo; those are descendants. So when I say the Azovs, those are descendants. When I say the Kraken, those are descendants. These are not neo-Nazis. These are actual blood descendants of people who fought under Banderas, who fought under the Third Reich, under Adolf Hitler. Okay? So, but we're so forgiving. Oh, just forgive, and we just want to. I'm when I say we, I'm talking about our news media and our pro-Ukrainian supporters. What's left of them, because we don't have that many Americans that are pro-Ukrainian. Not after what happened in the White House. You still got some knuckleheads out there. You still got some knuckleheads out there. I fell out with one damn liberal the other night about the whole Zelensky and J.D. Vance and Trump fiasco. I call it fiasco because Zelensky. Do y'all remember Dave Chappelle? Press it two in the chat if y'all remember Dave Chappelle. Y'all remember Dave Chappelle? I know that's a dumb question, but I'm going somewhere with this. Do y'all remember Dave Chappelle? Embrace yourself because I'm about to use the N word. Y'all know, if y'all know Dave Chappelle, he uses the N word, so white people don't get offended. I'm just, if y'all watch Dave Chappelle, don't pretend like y'all don't be laughing when he be using the N word, but I'm gonna use the N word, okay? Because I'm going somewhere with this. Press two in the chat. Press two in the chat, Kelly, if you remember Dave Chappelle. Okay, prosperity. Oh, thank you, a sister in his house. Okay, so she remembers Dave Chappelle. So just peachy black son, thanks. Okay, so prosperity. Oh, we got some discussion to do, me and you, prosperity, about Mike Johnson. He's in big trouble. They're gonna give Mike Johnson a referral. Um, prosperity, we got a lot to talk about, Mr. Johnson. There, he is in some deep doo doo because they're going to give him a referral to be investigated. So it's not looking good for Mike Johnson in Chicago. Oh, not looking good for him. They set that man up. He is the only one that is getting a criminal referral. Out of all those, Johnston in Colorado and that Asian lady in Boston, he's the only one that gets a referral. But I know, Prosperity ain't shed no tear for that. So we're gonna discuss that, Prosperity. We are gonna discuss that. But back to back to the topic. Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle did. Now I got to ask another question. So you guys know who Dave Chappelle is. So Prosperity knows who Dave Chappelle is. Do y'all know who Rick James is? I was like, He is the biggest crook. He is. Brandon Johnson is a big crook, but he's in trouble. As you know, Prosperity, he is in big trouble. And that's why Prosperity, I don't know if you know who Clay Higgins is. Clay Higgins straight up asked Michael Jackson, he asked all the mayors, do y'all have counsel here today? You should, he said, I'm not trying to excite y'all, bullshit. If you know who Clay Higgins is, he is the epitome of a Southern goddamn law enforcer. He said, he's from Louisiana, do y'all have counsel today? I love Clay Higgins, man. He is the epitome of Southern justice. Do y'all have counsel today? Do y'all have counsel today? Yes, Rick James is a performer. Okay, Kelly. So Kelly knows who Rick James is. Dave Chappelle did a skit on Rick James. He did a skit about Rick James. And Rick James, um, Charlie Murphy is Charlie Murphy. Y'all know who Charlie Murphy is. That is Charlie Murphy is Charlie Murphy. Who's Charlie Murphy? He's the brother of that comedian. Damn, I'm oh my God, I'm brain freezing. Murphy, Eddie Murphy. Okay, Eddie Murphy. Charlie Murphy is the brother of Eddie Murphy. So Charlie Murphy was narrating the story about Rick James. And he said, he invited Rick James over his house. And he said that he came in with these boots and he just propped these muddy boots upon his couch. And he's like, oh my God, what the hell? He's like, fuck your couch, nigga, fuck your couch. And he's all just did these high 70 boots and he just put mud all on his couch. Fuck your couch, nigga, just buy another one. Fuck your couch, nigga, buy another one. So, if y'all remember that skit, that's what Zelensky did in our house. This is why comedy is so important. Comedy conveys messages because those messages come back. Y'all know I talked about Kelly Heroes last time, but now I'm talking about Dave Chappelle in his skit with Rick James. Rick James came into Charlie Murphy's house. He propped up and said, fuck your couch, nigga, fuck your couch. That's what Zelensky did. He came in with his muddy boots, with his Green Army uniform, his jumpsuit without a suit, and he said, fuck y'all couch, nigga, fuck y'all couch. Yeah, and he called y'all niggas too. He called everybody niggas. Fuck y'all couch, nigga, fuck y'all couch. That's what Zelensky did. So not only did he disrespect Donald Trump, he disrespected J.D. Vance, but he disrespected us. So Europeans and goddamn Ukrainians have no right to question how we feel about this. We voted for Donald Trump to end this goddamn war. We don't want none of our tax dollars coming here. We got homeless veterans here. We got homeless Americans, period. How dare you people from England? How dare you people from Ukraine? How dare you people from Europe got to try to check us about our president? He represents us at the end of the day. So for one saying, oh, Ukraine, support your goddamn self. We're gonna end the EBT, okay? We're cutting off EBT to fucking Ukraine. That's what the fuck we doing. Shout out to everybody in the goddamn chat. Shout out to Prosperity. Shout out to Kelly. I'm sorry I'm fucking mad right now, but the fucking nerve of these goddamn Europeans and these Ukrainians, like we owe them. We don't owe you shit. You the fucking owe us. Fuck out of here with that fuckery. You owe us. Fuck around and find out. Shit. Trump is a goddamn nice guy. Because we're saying cut that shit off. Cut that fucking shit off. Fuck y'all. Alright, y'all, I'm sorry. I want to apologize to Kelly, Prosperity, U.S. Army. Do something different. But hey, I'm tired of the bullshit. Cut those motherfuckers off. Cut them off. Cut off fucking Ukraine completely. Cut the fuck off, man. I don't want my tax dollars going over there. Fuck that shit. That's what the fuck I'm saying. All right, y'all. I'm out, y'all. Peace. I'm out.